September is here, and there is no better feeling than taking some time for ourselves to care for our budgeting and care for our finances. In today's video, I am going to take you through my entire budgeting routine, what I spent, saving, investing, and of course, cash envelopes. Let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the monthly money update for September 2024. It's a beautiful September day. I know it's not really fall yet, but it's starting to feel like fall here in Montreal. I've got this beautiful shirt on, I've got a cup of Earl Grey, and we're gonna be talking about money. So I hope you're as excited as I am. I hope you enjoy this video. If anyone is new, my name is Zoe. I'm 28, I live in Montreal, and I make lots of videos here on YouTube, just talking openly and transparently about money and about life and wellness and just lifestyle. I don't know, like a lot of things. I don't really have a niche here on YouTube. A lot of people know me as like a budgeting girl and they find me through my budgeting. Lately, I've been starting to think to myself, like, came for the budgeting content, stayed for the vlogs because I post a lot of vlogs too. Anyways, I would love for you guys to subscribe, and whether or not you're new, please it's the same thing. It's always the same thing, my intro. Please like this video because it really supports my channel. Give it a thumbs up. Okay. You guys can also follow me on Instagram. I've been posting a lot more budgeting content over there. So if you guys want just like a quick, almost daily dose of budgeting and like personal finance inspo, you can follow me. Or not even necessarily inspo, but like just personal finance, real talk, along with other stuff about my life, you can follow me on Instagram. And yeah, for anyone who is new, these videos I've been posting every single month pretty much for a really long time, like 3 or 4 years now. And I've basically just been learning and growing along this journey with you guys. And these videos are never to show you a perfect method of budgeting or what I think is like the ultimate best, or to try and position myself as some kind of expert. I am just a girl who used to know absolutely nothing about personal finances, who felt anxious every single month, who had student loan debt. Money used to keep me up at night, and now sometimes it keeps me up at night, sometimes it doesn't. I'm really like fluctuate, but to say I've been on this journey, and some of you guys have been on this journey with me for years, and maybe it's your first time watching today, but I'm just so happy you're here, and I just wanted to give you a little intro to my channel. It's not about perfection here. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's really just about learning and taking steps to better your personal finance situation. I want you guys to grow your money and save your money and invest your money and make your money feel good for you. Essentially, I want you to live your healthy and wealthy best life, and that is the motto over here on my channel. So we're gonna get into today's video. I am going to separate everything step by step as always. The first step is to talk about our money feels and basically just to reflect on the previous month, because I always say this, but our emotions play such a role in how we manage our finances and spend our money and earn money and just feel towards like it's so important. You guys, I film these videos and like I work from home, right? And so all day I'm actually not talking to anyone. Like I'm thinking and I'm talking to myself in my head. And then when it comes time for me to start talking, I just cough like crazy because it's been a few hours that I've been at home alone. I'm like, say goodbye to my boyfriend, and my dog goes onto my bed for her daily nap, and like I don't talk to anyone. And then my voice is like all raspy. So August was not my best month in terms of how I've been feeling about money. I feel like a broken record at this point, especially because I did a mid-month check-in, but the summers are just more rough for me financially, seeing as I'm a freelancer, seeing as a huge part of my income is my YouTube job and content creation. That is an industry, at least for me, that slows down quite a bit in the summer. So my income has taken quite a dip this past summer, and that has taken its toll on me emotionally because I've been feeling a lot more financial anxiety. I've been feeling a lot more of that paycheck to paycheck feeling, living paycheck to paycheck feeling that I've worked so hard to avoid in the past and to kind of grow away from and have systems in place and just like habits in place that don't give me that feeling. But at the end of the day, if you aren't earning as much as you're used to, and if your earnings don't quite match up with your expenses and your lifestyle and your budget, you're gonna start to feel that tension. My number one goal is to not go back into debt. Like that to me is the most important thing. If I find myself going back into debt, I mean, I'm sure there could be a reason and like I shouldn't be so hard on myself, but you know, going into debt to buy a new purse or because I want a new jacket or stuff like that, like that, it's just a big no-no for me. And I'm not there, like I haven't done that. So what I wanted to talk about today in the feels section, because I was sitting at home, I'm sitting at my desk just preparing for this video, and I was like, I don't even know what I want to talk about because like I said, I feel like such a broken record at this point, like just talking about my anxiety. And as I was reflecting, I realized that I have been being so hard on myself. And once I had that realization, it kind of felt like such a weight off of my shoulders of, yeah, like I don't need to be so hard on myself, and I'm actually doing a lot better than I give myself credit for. So I want to actually talk about that today to give you guys an idea of my thought process and what led me to that conclusion. Oh my God, I'm just gonna have to edit out my coughing so badly. I kept telling myself, I've spent so much money this month. I've spent way too much money in August. I spent too much money. But when I would flip through my cash envelopes binder, like there was still money left over in those envelopes. And it was really just in two main categories that I had to spend, or I did spend a lot of money this month. When I made sure that every single receipt was input and pretty much every dollar that I spent was tracked, I looked at my grand total and it wasn't anything so astronomical. It wasn't, you know, crazy behavior. It wasn't even close to the old me from like 4 years ago who would go on these insane shopping sprees and spend like $400 in one shot and then like more money the next month. Like I'm being so hard on myself and I'm saying, oh, I'm spending so much money. I'm spending so much money. When in reality, it's not that bad. This month, my two biggest spending categories were health and wellness and my dog, Maggie. So in the health and wellness category, there were two things, we'll go into what I spent later, but there were two things that added up to over $600, which that in and of itself is so much money. And the fact that it was only on two things, like, yeah, I felt guilty. And then I start backtracking and I'm like, why did I buy those things? Ugh, I shouldn't have done it. But at the time that I bought those things, I made a decision to do that and I felt comfortable with that decision. So it's not really fair for myself to then feel so guilty and go back on those decisions. And that's something that I need to start doing, is making a decision, being confident with it, and then that's it. If you buy something and you regret it and you're not going to return it, you have to move on. Because I will do this thing where I'll buy something, I'm like in the moment, I'm like, yup, this is a good decision, I know what I'm doing. The next day or a few days later, I will feel so guilty, but I don't want to return it because I go back to my logic of when I had purchased that thing. And I'm like, no, it was a good decision. So if you're not going to return it, you have to just be confident with your decision, and you can't spend the next couple of weeks beating yourself up. Because one of the things was my Hoop fitness membership. I pay like annually, and it came time to renew, and the month leading up to its renewal, so the month of July, I was like, should I cancel? No. Should I cancel? No. And like every time I would go to cancel my membership because I felt like I hadn't been earning enough money this summer to justify paying $400 for like an annual membership. Like it's expensive. Let's be real, it's expensive. But every time I went to go renew it, I couldn't bring myself to do it because I like it and I want it and it's a habit of mine, and you know, I'm trying to work on my health and I do feel like it helps me. So I made that decision. And then all of August, I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, ugh, I shouldn't have renewed it. I shouldn't have done that, da 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 da. And JS is like, okay, well, email customer service then and like ask them to refund you. And I'm like, no, but I don't want to. So if that's my logic, if that's how I'm behaving, it's not fair to myself to keep beating myself up about a decision that was already made. And I did that on multiple things this month. When it comes to Maggie, there's not really a lot of room to beat myself up because she's a dog and she's like a dependent and she needs me. And I wasn't buying her, you know, like a fancy new dog bed or a fancy new leash or anything. Like it was all on food. She needed some medication, getting her watched, getting her looked after, was all stuff like that. So there's not as much room for guilt, but I definitely did spend a lot in her category as well. But every other category, I did pretty great this month, like pretty, And by pretty great, I mean like I was stingy with myself. I wasn't allowing myself to purchase all of the things that I wanted, and I was really being careful, and I was making my matcha at home, and I did my own nails. Like I did those frugal behaviors that when I do them, I feel proud of myself. So after all that, it's really not fair that I'm being so hard on myself and that I'm thinking mean thoughts to myself and thinking, oh, like you are bad with your finances and you should be ashamed of yourself. The things that I tell myself are so not nice, and they don't help me either, you know? Like I'm sure a lot of us struggle with the way that we talk to ourselves, whether it's related to our finances, whether it's related to our work or to school. Like don't even get me started about when I was in school, how mean I was to myself. And it doesn't get us anywhere. Like you speaking meanly to yourself, it doesn't make you study harder. It doesn't make you more beautiful. It doesn't make you a better employee, you know? So like, why do we do it? It's so hard, I know. There's actually a third category this month where I also spent so much money, and you guys are gonna throw up when I tell you how much money I spent on gas this month, like fuel, petrol for my car. You're gonna throw up. But yeah, it wasn't a great month. I felt like I couldn't even afford to buy Maggie food. Like she had this giant bag of food and it was running out, and I was like, oh my God, like her cash envelope is empty. I don't even have money to buy her food, and her dog permit was due. It was just like all these things in specific categories this month that added up to so much. So I'm so glad that it is a new month and that we can move on. I personally feel like the month of August went by really, really slowly. In my personal life, I had a great month. Like I'm glad it went by slowly because I was having fun and I was enjoying life, but in the background, that financial anxiety was eating away at me. And I've realized actually that sometimes months will feel really, really slow when I'm stressed about money because I'm like waiting for my next paycheck. I remember when I had my first job out of university and I did not know how to budget and I was spending like crazy, like Aritzia every week. I was constantly looking at the calendar, when's my next paycheck coming in? When's my next paycheck coming in? And that makes time like move slower. And I found myself doing that this month as well. Okay, so I know I'm like rambling so much, but I really think this is important because it's not fair for myself and it's not fair like for you, for I guess maybe this applies more to people who have fluctuating income, but it's not fair for me to only feel good about myself and to only feel good about my finances on months where I earn more money. It's just not fair because there's gonna be months where I earn less, and does that mean that I should be stressed and losing sleep over money? No. So I need to find a way to just kind of get this like baseline confidence. And I feel like that is going to come from stopping being so hard on myself. You may not agree with the ways that I spend money. And, you know, I know some people are probably like, oh my God, $400 for that membership. Like that's crazy. And like, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me and I don't have to agree with you. And we all spend our money on different things. When I think about where I spend my money, I feel proud of myself because I'm like, you know what? Yes, I have a weakness for clothes and for handbags and for shoes and for jackets. Yes, okay? But like, that's pretty much where my weaknesses are contained, and like, I'm happy with that. And when I know it's not good to like compare yourself to others, but when I look at other spendings and I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't color my hair. I don't get eyelash extensions. I don't get monthly facials. I don't get, you know, Botox or fillers. Maybe in the past, yes, I was getting my nails done and I'll probably do it again in the future, but my monthly like maintenance costs and just my monthly spending is really not that crazy compared to what it could be, that I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of myself. Like I'm living a nice life. I spend money on things that make me happy. Maybe sometimes I spend a little bit too much. Maybe sure I could spend less, but that also comes back to this pressure. And I feel like some people are going to disagree with me on this, and that's totally okay. Is like, why do I have this pressure to like, would I be a happier person if I actually spent $0? Like, I feel like I have this like weird need to make as much money as possible and spend as little money as possible, and that spending money is bad and spending money is evil, when really it's not. Like, it's okay to spend money. It's okay to go out for dinner. It's okay to buy yourself a new top or a new mug, a nice new tea that makes you happy. It's okay to do those things. Spending $0 a month is just not realistic. So it's like, why is that my weird goal? Like, why do I weirdly want myself to spend no money. So for September, I am going to be much kinder to myself. I'm going to be constantly reminding myself that I'm doing well and I'm doing great and I'm proud of myself and I've come so far, and I may not be where others are. I may not have the salary that others have. I may not have the investments that others have. I don't own a home. I don't have so much whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm happy with myself. I love my life. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I feel healthy and wealthy most days, or at least I'm trying to. And so that's good. And so I feel like a lot of this stuff, I just need to take it off my shoulders, because it's kind of just ridiculous when you think about it. Like, all that stress, you know? Those are my money feels. I hope you guys enjoyed that chat. I know it was very long, but I feel like I needed to get that off of my chest. And I feel like, I know a lot of people like, oh, what'd she spend? And da-da-da-da. But like, I feel like if anything can be helpful from these videos, I feel like it's those chats, because it's like money therapy. And I feel like so many of us need that. Before we transition into what I spent, I want to show you guys my new little purchase that I don't know why I need to show you guys in this video, but I am so obsessed with this bag. Makes me so happy. So this weekend, it was the long weekend. By the way, happy back to school. If any of you guys are going back to school, I feel like today in Montreal, or like in Canada, is like first day back to school. But yeah, we just had the long weekend. JS and I were in Ottawa and we visited the LL Bean store, and they had this bag that I've been dreaming about for a little while in stock. And they had a mini keychain version of it. So yes, I had to get a bag for my bag. JS actually got this tote bag. This is the boat and tote from LL Bean. This is the small size with the short handles. He got me this because he had tried to order it for me for my birthday and it was sold out. So when we saw it in store, it was really nice of him. He got that for me as like a, I don't know, late birthday present. Really, really kind. And then I bought myself this little keychain. It is so cute. They didn't do the engraving at that not engraving, but the embroidery at that LL Bean, but I'm gonna see if I can take it to a different store and get it embroidered, or if I can just pay someone else to do it. If I can, I want to get healthy and wealthy embroidered on it. I don't think LL Bean will do it because they only do one word, but maybe if I take it to a tailor or something. But anyways, it's just so perfect. It fits my cash envelopes. It fits like your planner. It fits your book. And I've just been like loving it. I've been like, I don't know why it's making me so happy. This silly little canvas bag. They were having a sale this weekend. I think this is about $40, but it was 15% off. And then this with tax after the 15% off came to like $15. So I know it's silly, but I love it. But yeah, it's making me so happy that I've just been leaving it on my couch so that I can like always look at it, because I feel like the fact that it was a gift too makes me like love it even more. But yeah, this is my new little thing and I just wanted to share that with you guys because I had included it on my fall wish list. So I'm like, oh, I need to show you guys. Okay, now that all of the chats are out of the way, why don't we get into what I spent? So I've got my laptop here. You guys, I got a new sticker from Press Reset, and we are going to go through all of my spending from the month of August. So the first thing which happened on the 1st of August was my annual membership. Once again, $366, and this came out of the health and wellness category. That is not a cash category for me. I spent that on credit. I ended up buying coffee from my groceries envelope. I don't know why, okay? That was at the beginning of the month. Breakfast on the road, this was probably Tim Hortons, $16.50. We did a big road trip that first week of August. You guys will see the gas bills later. I input them all at the end. Groceries, more groceries, $46 for the dog sitter. I have two separate dog sitting categories. Like one is when it's like personal stuff, like let's say JS and I are going out for dinner and I need someone to watch Maggie. That would come out of the cash Maggie category. When it's work week dog sitter, so when I need her watched because I have to go to work or I'm doing work stuff, I spend that on credit and I take that kind of out of like my working budget, not my personal budget. So that's why it says dog sitter work week here. Then I spent $155 on gifts, birthday gifts for JS, more groceries, and $16 on gift wrap and a card. I had already blown my gifts budget. You guys can see the $55 was spent on credit, and then so was this $16. Here we go, the start of Maggie's expenses, $30 for a dog permit. Again, I bought coffee from my groceries envelope. So I guess what I said at the beginning about me like not really going out for coffee was wrong. I just wasn't buying groceries this month. And that was something funny, is like I somehow managed to avoid buying groceries this month. There were a lot of like dinners and going here and going there, and I was kind of just eating on other people's dime, and I didn't buy that much groceries, and I knew that was going to be happening. So I guess that's why I was just taking from the groceries envelope. $42, we went to a Korean food festival. $90 on groceries. Here, actually from the coffee envelope, $10 coffee for two. Dog sitter, $40. So this was actually from the Maggie category. I had from the books category, $17.23. I ran out of listening hours on audiobooks on Spotify, and I was like hooked on this book. So I just bought a top up for $17, worth it. This was spent on credit because I don't have like a cash books category. Then I spent $30.59 on 2 drinks at a festival. We were at Lasso Country Music Festival, and each drink was $15. I was honestly, you guys, I don't drink very much, so my alcohol tolerance is like very low. So I had 1 drink. It was like a Simply lemonade, like a spiked thing, and I was like already tipsy, so I was like, I want another one. And I just went and I just tapped my card and I bought like another one for me, and I bought a drink for JS. And it wasn't until I got home and got my like Amex notification for $30 that I was like, excuse me, like what? So anyway, it was a fun night, like honestly, and we got the tickets for free. So like $30 on 2 drinks is actually nothing in the grand scheme of it, but it's just funny. Oh, and then I spent $20 on an Uber home from the festival. The dog sitter, that was the night of the festival, $40. Taking JS, oh my God, I'm so cheap. I took JS out for dinner on his birthday, and it was only $60. I'm like, where did we go? What was that? Can't even remember. I really can't remember. He took me out for a nice dinner, and it was definitely more than $60. So like, where did I take him? Saint Subai? I don't remember. Okay, I had to buy some medication for Maggie. That was $58.88. I bought a chai latte for $7.16. Here was the other thing in the health and wellness category. I bought new running shoes for $269. So much money, but I can't even get into the whole saga. Like I can't. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, I did that. And then I felt guilty and blah, 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 blah. I bought passes to the movies. I took that from dining out. I don't really have an entertainment category because I don't go to the movies a lot. I don't go like to like a board game cafe. Like I don't go to a lot of entertainment things. If I did, I think I'd have a separate cash envelope, but seeing as I don't, I just kind of take from dining out. I bought Subway that same night. More stuff. I had to buy Maggie food and poo bags. That was $55. And apparently I spent this on credit. I think at this point I had already run out of money for Maggie. I had only budgeted $100 this month, so I ran out really quickly. We have a bunch of groceries. I bought some donuts from my coffee category. Went to A&W. I had a coupon. It only cost $16 for like a big trio. Went out for matcha, and I got a donut as well that came to $11.44. And then I did do some spending. Technically, it was in September, but it was the weekend and I hadn't flipped over my cash budgets yet. So I just took, like I had leftover in these categories from August budget. So I just spent them at the beginning of September and that'll be fine. I'm just gonna date them as like end of August transactions. So groceries from the farmer's market, more groceries and coffee that I bought. Took all of that from leftover cash from August budget, even though it was technically the beginning of September. And then we get into the gas, you guys. You guys can see here, I spent $417 on gas. That is insane. I don't think I've ever spent that much on gas in 1 month. I just did so much driving. It actually makes me really sad to see this. It's just like, what the frick? But like, again, it's like, I can't go back and like undo the driving that I did or undo those purchases. So I just have to move on. A lot of it was from the big road trip. We drove to Southwestern Ontario. It's like 10 hours there, 10 hours back. It's a ton of gas. And then I did another road trip. And yeah, I just did so much driving in August. So I'm gonna have to leave my car in the garage for a little bit and hope, like, well, anyway. And then the last thing is, like I showed you guys, my mini bow and tote keychain. I took this from my groceries envelope. It was $15. So that is everything that I spent. Now let's head over to my desk. I want to empty my cash envelopes and just keep going with this video. We are going to talk about savings and my credit cards, sinking funds, and then we have to create September's budget and restuff the cash envelope. So still more to come. Let's head over to my desk. Welcome to my desk, you guys. We finally get to talk about cash envelopes now. You guys know, I don't even need to say it. I just love this system so much. I have to like stop myself from going on a rant about how great they are. But what I want to do right now is empty out all of the envelopes from last month, make sure that the amounts left correspond with what is in my budget tracker, and then we will decide what to do with this leftover cash. So let's open up the folio. I'm going to take out all of the envelopes and we will empty them out one by one. First category is groceries. Let's see. We have $50 left. And this matches up perfectly with what is in my budget tracker. I also have a random 10 cents here. I'm going to put it into Rich Baby Piggy. If you guys haven't met Rich Baby Piggy yet, she is my piggy bank that I made at like a ceramic cafe. I painted her. That's why she's a little bit janky. And I don't know how this tear ended up there, but some of you guys said it's because she's crying because she's so rich. And that is true. So she just stays on my desk. I love her. She's like such a nice reminder. And actually, you know what I used to do? I told myself I would develop this like superstition of rubbing her nose for good luck. And I used to keep her in my closet. And every time I would see her, I would rub the nose. And then I kind of forgot. So maybe that's why I've been feeling stressed. So let's rub the nose. Here, you guys, rub her nose. And we're all gonna have good money luck for the next month. All right, so I'm just gonna put this 50 to the side for now. Let's go. Next category, coffee is empty. Yeah, $263 left. So the $263, dining out, let's take a look. The budget tracker says there should be $13 left in here. Oh, okay, something's not right then because we have $30 left. Is that right? Dining out. So curious, okay. I must have forgot to like pay myself back, or I'm not sure. Maggie is empty, that tracks. In the home category, I actually spent nothing in this category. I had budgeted $30 and I still have $30 left over, so that is great. I'm gonna put it with the 50. Going back to dining out for a second, I'm gonna separate the 10 from the 20. So the 20 is like, it was probably actually spent, so I'm gonna put that in a different category. This is what's actually left over, so I'm gonna put it with the leftover money. Next category is personal care. This is just like the home. I had budgeted $30 and spent nothing, so we have $30 left. Gifts, I overspent as we discussed, so this is empty. Last category is treat yourself. I did not touch this category, which maybe is the first time ever that I don't touch it. So I still have $50 left. I'm gonna add that to this pile. So this is my stay-at-home envelope. It's this nice clear folio from The Line, and I have a few different folders in here. I have spent on credit, savings, and Christmas. This is my Christmas sinking funds savings envelope. So first, let's take a look at spent on credit. Sometimes I'll get questions of like, what happens if you forget your cash envelopes? What if you go to a place where they don't accept cash? I will use my credit card and then instantly pay myself back into the spent on credit envelope. So that way there's not money left over in the envelope and then I end up overspending. Obviously, in cases where I actually am overspending, or if it's a non-cash category, like again, for the Hoop membership, I just spend it on my credit and it doesn't actually touch this envelope. But the most common thing would be if I'm buying groceries and I forget my cash envelopes, or if I go to a coffee shop that's like modern and doesn't accept cash, the money will end up back in this envelope. So you guys can see there's actually quite a bit in here this month. There were a few times where I just was going to the grocery store and I like times in a row where I just forgot my cash envelopes, which is super annoying, but that's why this envelope really does come in handy. If you guys are cash budgeters, I highly recommend starting a spent on credit envelope. So then with this envelope, what I will do is take it to the ATM and deposit it into a saving to spend checking account. It's like a second checking account that I have, and then I will use it to pay off my credit cards. Usually what I like to do is use it to pay off next month's credit cards, just because of the way my credit card cycles work. So all of this will go to the ATM in the next couple of days, and then I'll use it next month to pay off my credit card. That might sound weird, that might sound confusing. It's just a system that works best for me. Instead of like rushing back to the ATM to deposit this, I save it for next month. All right, so this 20 I will be adding to the spent on credit because probably there was just like a little miscalculation in my dining out envelope. And then like I said, this will come with me to the ATM as soon as possible. Now, let's count how much we have left in here. Let's just arrange these bills, a 10, 20, and some 5s. So we have 140, 50, 160, 165. Now we need to decide, what am I gonna do with this leftover cash? Originally, because I had overspent in certain categories this month, whether or not they were cash categories, I was thinking of putting all of this money into my spent on credit to help me pay back my credit cards from that overspending. I knew that I overspent quite a bit this month, so I actually took some money from my sinking funds. We'll talk about that in a second. So this could also go towards paying back my sinking funds, and I was thinking of doing that as well, but I actually want to leave my sinking funds as is, and I want to use this money to continue saving for Christmas because it's already September, October, November, December. There's like 4 months and like less than 4 months until Christmas, which is insane. And Christmas spending can really add up and it can be a huge source of stress. And I don't want it to be a huge source of stress. I want it to be a joyful time, and I want to give gifts and spend money on other people and feel good about it. So I want to keep saving up for Christmas. And then in the new year, when business picks up and stuff picks back up, then I can really focus on putting back that money into my sinking funds because I don't really need the money right now. So that was my thought process. That is why I'm going to be prioritizing my Christmas envelope. And just for fun, let's see how much money we have in here, you guys, just for fun. We have 200, 2, 4, 6, 8, 300, and 20, and 30, and 40. $340. That is just passive savings. That is great. I am so happy, and that is going to be a huge weight off of my shoulders come December, and we're going to continue saving. So that is fantastic. That is definitely a win. Despite other not so wins this month, this is a win. All right, let's clip everything back in here. The savings go back, Christmas, and spent on credit. All right, so I'm just taking out my notebook here. The next thing I want to talk about is savings and investing and my credit cards and credit card debt and sinking funds and all of that. So like we've been speaking about, there were certain areas in my budget where I definitely spent a lot of money. I spent more than I would have liked to, and I spent more than I earned this month. I spent more than I earned, which doesn't feel great. And so you have a few options in front of you. I had a few options in front of me. Option one, which is like not even an option, is to leave the money on my credit card and incur credit card interest of 19, 20%. Not happening. Credit card debt is just an absolute no, and it should be, the goal should be for it to be a no for everyone. And when you have debt, you always want to pay off your highest interest debt first. If you are comparing debt to investing, you don't want to be investing your money if your debt is at a higher interest rate, and it's pretty rare to find investments that are like 20%. None of mine currently are. None of my like savings accounts with none of my high interest savings accounts are at 20%, like just so far off from that number. Typically like ETFs and fund investments, you're looking at around like 6 to 7%, just to give you guys context. So option one, leaving it on the credit card, absolutely not. Which brought me to basically my only other option is to dip into my sinking funds and my emergency fund to help cover some of these purchases. Now, I was really stressed about Maggie and I was like feeling really uptight and really disappointed, and I had completely forgot that I have created a savings account for her. I've created a sinking fund and it is fully funded at its goal of $1,000. So I had $1,000 just sitting there for things like this for my dog, and I'm standing around beating myself up about overspending by $250. And I kind of was like a little slap in the face when I remembered that I have this sinking fund, because going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, like having this goal of like spending $0, it also kind of applies. Like I will make a sinking fund and then my goal is like, don't touch it, don't touch it. But it's like, that's what it's for. So from Maggie's account, I originally had $1,000. I took $250 to cover that surplus in her budget, that surplus spending. So now the sinking fund is not fully funded, but it's still at a pretty decent amount. And I'm just grateful that I had put that money aside. I also needed about $1,000 to cover the rest of my overspending. And $1,000 is definitely a lot of money. I did not have my fund fully funded. I think it's at like $100 or $150 right now. So I did have to take from my emergency fund. Now, some people might have opinions on that, like, you know, your hoop isn't an emergency and new running shoes aren't an emergency and whatever. But to me, not being able to pay off my credit card is an emergency. I'd rather take from my emergency fund than incur that 20% interest. It just simply doesn't make sense to not take. So I took $1,000 to kind of bail me out and help me pay off my credit cards this month. So now my emergency fund, which was at $10,000, is at $9,000, which again, I felt disappointed and I felt annoyed and I felt like actually stingy with myself to take that money. But then I had to kind of reality check and be like, $9,000 is still so much money. Like I'm still so covered that I shouldn't be this hard on myself. I saved that money for myself and now I'm taking it from myself, and that's okay. That being said, I do kind of see this taking from my sinking funds as me being in debt to myself. And now I kind of owe myself $1,250 to put back into these sinking funds. Plus I have goals for other sinking funds that I need to keep contributing to, such as my car fund, my vacation fund, and my fun fund. I also have my investing goal, and my investing goal was to do $1,000 a month. That is so not gonna happen this month, and probably not really in the coming months either. So I've cut that down to $500. However, looking at my finances, looking at my bank accounts and what was left in those accounts, I don't even have $500 to spare here at the beginning of the month, at the end/beginning. So I had a lot of decision making to do, and I kind of had to prioritize my goals in my head. Is my priority going to be repaying my sinking funds and repaying that debt to myself? Is my priority going to be saving for Christmas or filling up other sinking funds? Or is my priority going to be my investments? I've decided to make investments my priority just because I really want to keep that habit. Like I said, $900 in my emergency fund is still a really great amount of money, but contributing $0 to my investments just doesn't feel great. And I figured, what will feel better for me? Putting back that $1,000 over time or continuing to contribute to my investments over time? To me, contributing to my investments just felt better. So I've decided I'm going to put basically whatever I had left at the end of this month, which was $300. I'm going to put $300 to my tax-free savings account. So I was contributing to my RRSP. I ended up really I'm at my limit. So I'm switching over to my TFSA, and I've invested that into an ETF. So it's like a fund stock. So I'm going to put $300 there, and that will be my contribution for September. And it's not the greatest. It's not, it's far from my goal. And when I looked at my annual goals and I was like, yeah, $1,000 a month is definitely far from that goal, but I'm still proud of myself and I'm still grateful for every dollar that I get to invest. And just over time, I'll work on paying back and refilling those sinking funds, but I'm not in a place where I get to do everything that I want to do right now. So my credit cards are paid off. We've talked about my goals and my savings. Now we need to talk about September's budget. We have my cash budget here, and then I also want to talk quickly about my fixed expenses such as rent, etc. For my cash budget, I always like to write it down by hand. It's just like a fun therapeutic activity for me. I basically just tweaked August's budget because it worked pretty well in most categories. categories, did a slight tweak, and the total cash budget comes out to $1,050. Now, when it comes to my fixed expenses, I actually don't have very many. The first is my rent, which is $875. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment with my boyfriend. He owns the apartment, so I do contribute a little bit towards the rent, and I also have a leased parking spot from someone else in the building that I pay $175 for. So I give my boyfriend $700, which is really cheap for Montreal rent, and then I pay $175 for my parking spot. So that is my biggest fixed expense. I'm actually really lucky that my fixed expenses are so low. I did used to rent an office, and I am so effing glad that I got rid of that office because I just would not have been able to afford it this summer. My next biggest expense is my car insurance, and I am so sad. You guys are gonna scream. My car insurance did renew in September and go up, and it has gone up to $178 a month. I am so annoyed. It's because I got into an accident, even though it wasn't my fault, and I hate insurance so much, but the accident was 0% my fault, but my insurance still went up. So yeah, my insurance is really expensive now. I'm going to speak with my broker about what I can do because it's not like my car is that fancy. I don't need $200 a month insurance. But for now, that is what it is. And then my last two fixed expenses are my Spotify and my Netflix. My Spotify is around $13 a month, and my Netflix is around $6 because I'm cheap and I have the one with ads. Now it is time for my favorite part of the video, which is stuffing the cash envelopes. I will tell you category by category how much I budgeted for the month of September. All right, first category is groceries. The number that has been working really well for me lately is $450. So we're gonna stick with that. That's $100, a 50 on the side. 2, 4, 6, 8, 100, 2, 4, 6, 8, 200, 2, 4, 6, 8, 300, 450. That is perfect. The next category is home. I am going to do $30 for this category. 25, 30. For Maggie, I actually ran out of food today and I had to go to the pet store. So I already divided out her budget and spent some of it. So I had budgeted $150 and then I spent $86.22 on food. It's like it goes so fast. So 50, I have $65 left for Maggie. But once again, the original budget was $150. For coffee, we are going to do $40. The next category is dining out. I'm going to do $250. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 200, and 50. For personal care, I'm going to do $40, 20. I don't know why I got so many 5s from the ATM. Should we do that? Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Actually, I'm gonna put these 5s, I'm gonna play around with the groceries envelope. I'm gonna swap this out. I'm gonna take out a 50, and this is 20, 30, 40. Oh, I'm screwed. Okay, forget it. When I'm on camera, like the math doesn't math, okay? We're just gonna leave it. I can play around with that off camera. But anyway, the point is that this is $40. For gifts, I'm also doing $40. I don't actually foresee anything coming up, but every time in the past that I've done $0 for gifts, there's been something and I'm like, oh, I should have budgeted for that. And then the last category is treat yourself. I'm doing $50. So here is everything, and we just need to clip everything into my folio. I like groceries to be at the front because that's my most common purchase. And that's it, you guys. I also have a few non-cash categories. I will put a screenshot of my total budget for September up on the screen, including the non-cash categories for those of you guys who are curious. But that is a wrap on this video. Thank you so much for doing a little money reset with me, talking about budgeting with me for the month of September. I hope you guys have a beautiful month, healthy and wealthy, and I hope you are feeling great about your finances. And if you're not, maybe this video helped turn things around a little bit. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.